I'd smirk with little difficulty. Fine, go on. One day, the princess met a handsome man in the woods. Sounds dangerous. Well, this princess isn't too smart. I bit his stomach playfully, and in return he grabbed my hair and gave it a tug. So she meets a handsome stranger, I said. Yes, they meet and fall in love. And even though the princess was betrothed to another prince, she figured, fuck that guy, and ran away with the handsome stranger. I sucked in a breath. Ah, yes, the other prince. Or more specifically, the king. I had to wonder how long Lucas Rain was going to be an elephant in the room for Desmond and me, but this wasn't the time to ask. I kissed him on his abs, and he shifted, propping himself on his elbows so he was looking down at me. And they lived happily ever after? I asked. He smiled. I like to think so. Now, New York City was burning. I used to think I was the level-headed one in a crisis. Usually, when things got bad, I knew what to do and could react accordingly. But standing outside the Lincoln Tunnel, looking up at the hazy orange glow of the city on fire, my mind had gone blank. Sirens wailed in the distance, and I was vaguely aware of screaming, but there was too much going on for me to focus on any one thing. What the hell is happening? Desmond came up beside me, reminding me I wasn't alone. He put his phone in his pocket. On our way through the tunnel, he'd been calling his mother to make sure she and his sister were safe. Since he didn't say anything, I had to assume they'd gotten out or found protection. I glanced back at him, and then to Holden. The vampire, my friend and former lover, had placed his arm protectively around my sister, Eugenia. Jeannie, a witch and werewolf, had seen some pretty wild stuff in her 18 years, but I was betting none of it would compare to what she was seeing now. She was staring up at the sky, wide-eyed and slack-jawed. Even Holden, who was over 200 years old, was gazing at the scene before us with barely restrained awe. Secret? Desmond placed his hand on my shoulder, and I returned my attention to him. It was only then I realized I hadn't spoken once since we got out of the car. We need to find Kitty, I announced. There were dozens of places we could have gone, people we could have sought out, and some of them might have been more logical than Francis Keats. But the fact was, there was no one in the world I respected more in a time of crisis than my business partner. If anyone would know what to do, it would be Kitty. The next problem we faced would be getting there. The streets were littered with abandoned cars, some left with their doors wide open and the ping, ping, ping sound of interior warning chimes going off. Driving towards Central Park would be impossible. Not that driving in the city was ever the fastest way to get anywhere. We'll have to walk. Secret, Jeannie said, her voice quivering. Don't you think maybe we should go back? On our way into the city, we'd seen hundreds of cars crawling their way out. It seemed like everyone was fleeing. Yet, we had gone in. Now that we were here, there was no way in hell I was going to put my tail between my legs and run. If our friends are still here, we're going to find them. My voice sounded cold, even to myself. The past week had been one hellish ordeal after another, culminating in me killing my two worst enemies, the rogue vampire Alexander Payton and my mother, Mercy. I'd assumed when I got back to New York, my problems would be limited to settling debts and dealing with the council. But this was wholly unexpected. The air smelled of burning metal and melting plastic, and big plumes of black smoke blotted the moon and stars from sight. Returning to the car, I found the duffel bag with my weapons in it. I was already wearing my shoulder holster, but added in a second gun and started loading my jacket pockets with ammo clips. I slung my